In this video, I'll tell you in a simple way about the pros and cons of each of the visa type relevant to you as an international medical graduate. I'm neither an immigration consultant nor an attorney, but I'm a doctor who has been through this painful process and also have seen many people go through this. So I'm sharing my personal experience and what I've seen with you so you don't end up making the same mistakes others made. This video will help you make the right choice. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Rajiv Iyer, Associate Professor of Anesthesiology at University of Pennsylvania in the USA. I speak about things that are important to you as an international medical graduate because I've been through this process myself. There are two major categories of USA visa. Number one is called a non-immigrant or a temporary visa, and the second one is called an immigrant or a permanent visa. There are 38 different non-immigrant visa categories and 13 immigrant visa categories, starting with an alphabet and sometimes a number, which can be very confusing if you're new to this. I'll tell you, according to American Medical Association, in quotes, international medical graduate, IMGs, who seek entry into US programs of graduate medical education must obtain a visa that permits clinical training to provide medical services. Close the quotes. You probably already know this, and this is the reason you're watching this video. I will share my experience about the most common visa type, H1B. The H1B visa is for temporary workers in specialty occupations who hold professional level degrees like us, medical school, residency, and sometimes other things. The H1B visa allows a foreign national to enter the USA for professional level employment, and this is given up to a maximum of 6 years. The initial stamping of the visa can happen somewhere between 1 to 3 years, and subsequently this has to be renewed. If you're working in a hospital, which I think you will be, the hospital helps you apply for paperwork for an extension, and once the extension is approved, you can continue working, but you have to leave the USA, go out, get your visa stamped, and then come back into the country. This is not always required. If you have questions about this, always post in the comments below. After those 6 years, usually what happens is the candidate typically applies for a green card and then can continue staying in the US based on that application, although the H1B period would have been over by then. The H1B also provides an easy pathway to transition to green card. Now, there are some cons with the H1B visa. This is a temporary visa. Typically, there aren't many H1B visas, but in my experience, I have not seen this being a problem for physicians because we tend to work in an area of need. You cannot start working until the petition is approved. The major drawback I have seen for IMGs is that their spouses tend to be either professional people or very experienced, but unfortunately the spouses or children cannot work and only the primary person can work. The dependents, spouse or children, are given a visa called H4, which lets them stay in the USA, go to school, but not do any work. Having an H1B does not mean you're automatically eligible for a green card or permanent resident. This has to be a separate petition again. The H1B visa is available for international medical graduates who have passed the necessary examinations. They have a license or other authorization required by the state to practice. Typically, these people have completed USMLE Step 3 and already have applied or are in the process of applying for an independent license from one of the state medical boards. In my experience, H1B is the most common visa that candidates in alternate entry path have received. And everyone I know of has been successful in this pathway and now either hold a green card or already US citizens. The next visa category is a J-1 visa. J-1 visa is something that most residency programs sponsor. So if you're entering the US as a resident, you're more likely to be on a J-1 visa. However, even in alternate entry path, there may be a situation where you will have to enter the USA first to gain experience as a clinical fellow or a research fellow and then be eligible for the alternate entry path. The J-1 visa is sponsored by Educational Commission on Foreign Medical Graduate, also known as ECFMG. The US Department of State has authorized ECFMG to sponsor a J-1 visa. In order to receive a J-1 visa, you still have to meet some eligibility. Now, this includes you have to complete USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 and be ECFMG certified. This is required in order for you to work clinically. If you are entering as a research fellow where you will not be touching any patients, you can still get a J-1 visa even without USMLE or ECFMG certification. However, your goal then should be to clear your USMLE and obtain ECFMG certification as soon as possible so you get into the next steps. The other requirement is you should have a job offer from the hospital which is sponsoring your position. You also need a letter called Statement of Need in quotes from the Ministry of Health from whichever country you're in as a legal permanent resident at the moment of applying. This does not matter what your country of citizenship is. The statement of need, I think, is a way to say your home country requires you to undergo training in the USA system. The J-1 visa is relatively easy to obtain. The amount of paperwork required from the hospital is also relatively easy compared to H1B. But here are the cons of a J-1 visa. It comes with two big drawbacks. After J-1, number one, you have to return back to your home country for 2 years to share the knowledge you obtained in the USA, or you have to obtain a J-1 waiver job in the USA. Everyone I personally know of has taken the second option of finding a J-1 waiver job. Once this happens, the J-1 visa candidate transitions to other type of visas like an H1B, following which they apply for the permanent residency or green card. There are exceptions to J-1 visa waivers. To my knowledge, I haven't seen anyone use this option, but I'm sure there are candidates who have made use of this as applicable to each of them. I have left a link in the description below that you can check out if you're eligible to receive a waiver for the 2-year home residence requirement of the J-1 visa program. The next category I want to talk about is the O visa. I have seen very few people on O visa, although they do exist and they have been successful. The O visa is given for an individual who possess an extraordinary skill in the field of medicine and have demonstrated extraordinary achievement in their field, and they are recognized nationally or internationally. There are various categories like O1, O2, O3 under the O visa categories. However, one of the biggest cons of this is this has a 3-year limit, and the extension of O visa involves a lot of extra paperwork. The hospital sponsoring you should be willing to support an O visa. Irrespective of the visa type, if your ultimate plan is to settle in the US, a petition for a green card has to be applied, it has to be approved, and then you change your status to be a green card, then you satisfy the residency requirements to be a US citizen. There is a myth saying it is very easy for doctors to get a green card. This is not true. The Department of Homeland Security has a high requirement of who qualifies to have a green card. There are doctors who have been successful in getting a green card in a few months, and there are also doctors who have not received a green card in almost 10 to 15 years. And this is true especially for candidates from India and China, where there is a huge backlog of the number of people waiting for green card. So ultimately, it depends on where your country of birth is and your background and what makes you special to be eligible for a green card. So if given a choice between J-1, H1B and O visa, I personally would pick an H1B visa. I hope you found some value with the video. Make sure to hit the like button and also share it with others who might be in the same boat and who have questions regarding the visa. Do check out the options available to you as an international medical graduate in USA using this link above. And I've also left these videos in the description below. Take care, stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.